Boom, I'm back and in the most shocking way possible. It's been a while since I posted a video and even longer since I actually rolled with someone. But don't worry, I was just spending some time with my daughter, trying some new things, and playing too much Path of Exile. But I still have goals for the channel, so I came back as a pajama princess, and I'm going to completely destroy Eli a purple in front of all of you. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, if you want pictures of my feet, I will sell them to you. But also, why am I wearing a gi? Well, honestly, last time I was wearing a gi on the channel, it didn't go too well for me. Well, I can't go out on a low note like that, so I decided to find a purple belt so I can make up for it. But the real truth is that I've been trying to reinvent my jitsu, add more things to my arsenal, and I'm always trying to improve. Wearing the gi just gives me more opportunities to do that. Speaking of new opportunities, I'm grabbing a deep lapel grip with my left hand so I can yank Eli into me. And I know I said I'm doing new techniques, so sometimes you gotta go back to the well, so I go for my trusty ankle lock. I elevated his foot off the floor, and I know it's tough to see, so here's a better angle. Now back to story time. I've made some crazy leaps and bounds in my jitsu over the past year of doing all live training, and I really feel like I could win a world's tournament, but I gotta take it up a notch if I want to ever get there. So training gi is a no-brainer because it gets me an extra hour of training and it's still jitsu. It's much better than sitting at home if I'm trying to get better at the sport. Now for some commentary, I'm using again that same deep lapel with my left hand because it's an easy way to control his neck. Eli's trying to shift around me, but as long as I can keep control over his lapel or his belt like I have here, he's in trouble. Eli's about to figure out why you don't have your hips out when somebody controls your upper half. Just the other day, I was looking at old footage of Ben getting absolutely tossed around, and I'm happy to say that Eli didn't take the same punishment, but it's still up there. You guys can't see his face like I could, but I had to ask him if he was okay, because when he landed, it looked like he was holding in tears. Anyway, no rest for the wicked. If he says he's good to go, I'm good to submit him. Luckily, that takedown landed me all the way in side control, and he's still catching his breath, so it's given me ample time to try and find my next opportunity to score. My game plan is to go to knee mount so I can crush him with pressure, forcing him to move and giving me his neck. This really is just Tyler Spangler 101 of crushing them with pressure so you can force them to move into your guillotine. If you want to crush purple belts with my pressure, go to my website with promo code YouTube and master the guillotine. I know this isn't new to everybody, but I forget how important it is to fight sleeve control when you're wearing the gi. It's basically just BDSM without any of the fun, but I like that I can always grab their third leg when I need to. Once I have the low lapel grip, I have already made a connection so I can quickly attack the ankle to come up on top of Eli and get my sweep. Once I finish the sweep, then I can let go of the low lapel because it's not going to help me out. And I also have to use my hands for posting because Eli's throwing me into single leg X, which poses a major threat to me because footlocks are always my kryptonite. I want to strip his grip on my lapel because he's keeping me too connected to him. It makes it really tough for me to escape if he has both my upper body and my lower body connected, but he gives me an easy opportunity to escape once he tries to go for my back and he doesn't keep his insteps planted, and I quickly just jump over his knees. This is what he was trying to do. He may have floundered that back attack, but I'm not going to flounder this Kimura. I used the underhook to scoop up his arm, sit on his head, and now I have all the time in the world to start attacking his arm. The trick I love to do is rip it away from their chest, then over their ribs, and finally finish the submission. If you only pull it the way they're expecting to, it's going to give them too much time to brace, but by quickly switching directions, it lets me rip out the Kimura that much easier. Eli makes the same mistake by letting me attack his third leg, and I pull out the ankle to come out on top of him. This is almost identical to how we were before, except my leg isn't in danger this time around. But what has changed is that he has control over my wrist and he starts shoving his shins into my chest, then moving his foot to my bicep. I counter this by conceding the sweep. Sometimes you gotta take a step backwards so you can advance, and I don't want him to have that much control. Once I pull guard, then I could re-attack by attaching to his leg, driving him over at the single leg, and it's now my turn to start the passing. Ever since changing my style, passing is the #1 thing I want to do. It's even more fun than submissions, so as I could walk around Eli, do some outside passing and shoving my head into his ribs, I felt pretty accomplished. But I want to keep everybody entertained so you actually watch this whole video, so you're going to see a completely new attack from me once I get on top in side control. He leaves his ribs exposed, and I have to tickle him. This is just part of being a black belt. You gotta make them feel like they're having fun even though you're completely whooping their ass, so I add a little bit of tickling to the roll, then I decide to guillotine him. At least now he knows I did it in good spirits and not just for content. Now if you're thinking about clicking off because you've already seen me do the guillotine, don't worry, I have a brand new submission that I will be showing off. But first I have to abuse him a little bit more with control. I have his lapel, I have his wrist, and I start standing up. This time around, he decides he's going to pull guard so I don't just toss him, but I'm showing off the new passing by doing a jumping back step and I get right into front head. I know this isn't a pass, but it's something even better because I'm going to get him nice and dirty. We can see he's driving for the takedown, pulling against my ankle. But guess what? It's useless, as I'm locking up a clock choke over him. This is basically the gi version of a bulldog choke, and it sucks to be in. He taps immediately, but just so you guys have a better understanding of what it is, the concept is that you grab the far lapel over the shoulder and you're going to fall on top of their neck, so you shove their head into the choke. I did it by switching my base and running in front of him, and I was using my other hand to push his head as well, so I had lots of pressure into the choke. For the round so far, it's been about 1 submission every minute, but Eli has a great attitude to keep going the entire time. Unfortunately for him, I don't care about attitudes, I just want to get more submissions. So I pull him into me, lock onto a single leg, and I'm going to drive him over into another group. In the moment, I had no idea they were there, so I think Eli kind of conceded this position to me, and you better believe I'm going to take full advantage of it. Once I'm in side control, I have a strong grip underneath his belt. I'm thinking about throwing him into a suitcase armbar, but he's not giving it to me, so I yank him up instead, and my goal is the same as before. I want to get him with another clock choke just before the round ends, but I need to break down his base. I shove in the reverse hook to bring him down to the floor, already have his far lapel, then I run in front of him, and though you can't quite see it, he does tap to the last clock choke of the round. If you want to see more gi, make sure to subscribe to hit 100k.